Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Samueli. With me today, of course, is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show, Crosstalk. Well, Peter, over the weekend, the British Defense Secretary, Ben Wallace, I bet you hadn't heard of him before this weekend started, gave a lengthy interview to the Sunday Telegraph, in which he, on one hand, celebrated British soft power and hard power and British ability to project power globally. Britain is back, he said, in the way of copying, the Biden-Blinken slogan, while at the same time he was denouncing Russia, because Russia, who he said is the #1 adversary to the United Kingdom. But what he particularly found objectionable about Russia, apart from the murder that he had committed in the United Kingdom in Salisbury, what he found particularly objectionable about Russia is that there were Russian ships, warships, in the vicinity of the United Kingdom. They were in the Irish Sea, they were in the North Sea, they were in the English Channel, and they were sailing away, and this was absolutely objectionable.
Not that the ships do, but anyway, I belabor the point.
That's it. And and of course the pusillanimous reporter who was interviewing him didn't ask, well, if you're celebrating the projection of British power in the Far East, because the interview was done in order to celebrate the inauguration of the new aircraft carrier called the Queen Elizabeth, and he was being backed off to Japan and to project power in the Far East to intimidate the Chinese. So the reporter didn't ask him, well, if that's okay for the UK, why can't Russia also project power? Why can't it send its ships to sail peacefully?
Freedom of the seas.
Exactly. And when you say that they're intimidating the UK, they're actually sailing in international waters. Russian warships are allowed to sail in international waters. I mean, what do UK warships do all the year round? They stay in port. Well, we mustn't leave port because we might be threatening other countries. So it goes back to an issue I think we've discussed before. Is a sort of a lunacy that's taken hold of the post-Brexit UK, whereby the UK now becomes the leader of the sort of global movement against Russia and China. So this medium-sized European power, medium-sized, smaller in its economy than Germany, its military is smaller than France's. It's now going to be the leader of this global effort against everyone else. It's a very, very strange turn of events. What do you think, Victor?
Yeah, I mean, particularly since they're going around bothering everyone in the neighborhood of the Black Sea. Right. Okay, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, this arrogance, lack of reflection, is that only certain powers have the right to freedom, access to international waters. I'm left at a loss. I mean, the equivalent is that you have Joe Biden in the United States giving a commencement speech to the Coast Guard graduates. And they have a global commitment. It's like, well, why did we call it the Coast Guard then?
Right. Right. Yes,
but what are you doing 8,000 miles away from your coastline?
Your coastline,
okay?
Yes.
No, it's just imperial hubris and arrogance. And okay, what's his name? Ben Wallace, probably last time I'll ever say it. Obviously a footnote type character. He looks like he works at Starbucks to me. I mean, it's like drawing your line in the sand or something like that. Nobody really cares. It's just playing to your base, desperately trying to be relevant. Right. And the interview also included I think it's the Queen Elizabeth the second.
I think it's just called Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. Good investment, guys, considering you're worried about submarines, okay?
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous to be investing so much money into these things, because when things go wrong, they're the first things going to disappear, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do to stop it, okay?
That's exactly right. And you kind of also wonder, what exactly are these aircraft carriers going to do? I mean, you think you're going to prevent China from doing what? I mean, you're going to go to war with China? I mean, there in the South China Seas. I mean, this fantasy. I mean, first of all, he talks a lot about alliances. Well, I mean, you would have thought recent British history would tell you that alliances are not a really great idea. I mean, Britain got pulled into 2 world wars on account of alliances, so making kind of foolish commitments that you shouldn't have made, and got you pulled into world wars. So you'd have thought the British would have learned that the way you stay a great power is that you stay out of wars. The way you lose your standing as a great power is to get into wars that drain you of resources and manpower and everything.
And while it is still a member, obviously, of NATO, it is not in the European Union anymore. Some smart thinking would be, how can we play a middle-sized power? But middle-sized powers can always punch up if they play their cards right. And so, I mean, and you just mentioned being pulled into 2 world wars. Well, they were leaders of alliances. In this case, they were a very junior partner of an alliance.
But now, I
mean, it's basically like, the Americans say, bring over your aircraft carrier close to Taiwan. Okay, we're going to show us some strength, project power. But you'll probably lose the aircraft carrier in the process.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Exactly. It's sort of, the UK is now this more belligerent than the United States. Remember when they seized that tanker in Gibraltar, because they said, oh, the tanker is, this is an Iranian tanker is providing oil to Syria, as if somehow the UK had any right to stop Syria from getting oil. I mean, no, there's no international sanctions against Syria to preventing it from getting oil. So this was an absolute ridiculous measure. But the UK is showing, whoa, we're throwing our weight around. So it's now no longer even just the junior partner as it was in the Thatcher years and in the Tony Blair years. Now it's sort of, we're the leader, we're the packers. It really is like the mouse that roared, the mouse that's leading this alliance.
Yeah, but it's a really, really desperate and pathetic attempt to remain relevant, because anyone can say Russia is our greatest external threat. I mean, those are just words, okay? They're not backed up by anything. Nobody really cares. Okay, the only thing probably the primary reason why we're doing this video is that kind of loose talk can get into a conflict that needlessly needs to happen. I mean, that's the kind of irresponsible loose talk that is dangerous from someone that is probably credentialed, but probably a low octane thinker, as the rest of them are.
Right. Yeah, it's again. I mean, I think it's clearly a function of this post-Brexit Britain, where again Britain is now trying to find an identity of its own. Famously when Dean Acheson said, "Britain has lost an empire, but has yet to find a role." But this seems to be the most ridiculous role possible, because even back in we had the 1950s, when Anthony Eden embarked on the Suez venture, failing to get the okay from the United States. That's a big faux pas. If you're the junior partner, you better get the okay from your senior partner. If they didn't do that. But at least in the 1960s, you had Harold Wilson maintained a certain measure of independence. I mean, Britain didn't get involved in Vietnam. I mean, though Johnson wanted Britain to get involved in Vietnam, Britain stayed out. And remember Edward Heath, who refused to allow overflights into British airspace when the United States was replenishing Israel with its weaponry during the Yom Kippur War. So again, at the time, at least Britain maintained a certain level of independence. But now it's this more American than the Americans. That makes absolutely no sense for a medium-sized power with serious economic problems.
And I see in no way, shape, or form that it's in its national interest. As a matter of fact, I think it's very detrimental because, I mean, particularly over the last 3 months and few days here, what is the Biden foreign policy?
Right.
And I mean, you have, what's his name, Wallace again? Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace.
It's difficult to keep.
You'll forget it by tomorrow, but just for today.
I mean, is he tap dancing trying to figure out what the Biden administration wants?
Yeah.
Okay, is
Yeah.
that all he does? Like do a little jingle for everybody? It's really embarrassing for such a great country with great history and had at one time great leaders. Okay, and this is what we get. Okay, we got a barista from Starbucks. Wow, I'm impressed.
And remember, Britain at the moment is the chairman of the G7, and they're scheduled to meet off Cornwall next month. So that's going to be a real opportunity for the British to bang the drum about values, projecting values, and and they've taken over this American cliche about hard and soft power. We're projecting soft power. So when the Japanese, and he speaks specifically addressed to Japanese, when the Japanese see this British aircraft carrier, they see, ooh, soft power, values. We share these values. We're at one.
Now that you mentioned the summit, I guess I can assume that Edward Snowden will not be a keynote speaker.
I assume so. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
I could always hope. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But then there's this Ben Wallace around.
Ben Wallace, yeah. And one thing we won't hear about at this the G7 summit, and then of course the NATO meeting will be, I think, a few days later. We won't be hearing anything about Julian Assange, apropos of values, media freedom, rules-based order, humane treatment of prisoners, and so on. That subject won't come up. We'll talk about values, but not those.
Well, they got too much whining and dining to do. Busy work.
Very, very nice, very, very. But I'll tell you, Cornwall is very, very nice this time of year. So I'm sure they're going to have a good time.
Well, maybe we could gate crash. I don't know.
I'm for it.
We used to do it in graduate school all the time.
That's right. The gaggle in Cornwall. He had to do the work. It's a dirty work, but someone has to do it.
All right, everybody, we're on Locals. Go to thegaggle.locals.com. Anything you can do to help us out, we really, really appreciate it. We really enjoy doing this.
Yes, absolutely. We're also on Rumble. Look us up there. And if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.